So this session tonight is going to be a little different from the usual Tuesday sessions that we have. If any of you have been here before, we have a special presentation tonight. So first of all, I just want to say welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. And the special topic for tonight's session is we're calling it the Blueprint to Dating in Midlife and Beyond. We decided to call it a blueprint because what we're going to do is actually give you the specific steps involved in taking this dating journey, especially in the second half of life with all this lived experience that we have behind us, in a way to help you, take the guesswork out of what it really means to have or to be successful, right, at meeting a partner at this phase of life. And we're going to divide the time in two sections. So I'm going to it's more of a presentation format tonight. We're going to spend the first maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes of the meeting presenting. Part one will be identity and awareness. And then part two will be strategy, dating techniques for being successful on this journey. We're going to be here for about over an hour and a half approximately. So I do recommend that you get comfortable. If you want to get a glass of water or whatever your preference drink of choices, and just even like a notebook if you want to take any notes down. We're gonna kick off in just a second. Um, so First of all, introduction to Moshe. Moshe, thank you so much for joining us and for suggesting that we have this session tonight.
My
Um,
pleasure.
yeah, and just to give you guys a little bit of background about Moshe. So, Moshe Lanyadoo Peleg is a certified life and dating and relationship coach with the Relationship Coaching Institute, where he is also a mentor and supports other relationship coaches. He has been married for over 20 years and is a proud father of two, bringing both personal experience and professional expertise to his work. And before transitioning into coaching, Moshe built a successful career in the entertainment industry where he was head of global creative content for major television networks, including the History Channel, Lifetime, A&E. So, driven by a passion for relationships and personal growth, Moshe made a purposeful career shift to helping singles and couples create meaningful, lasting connections or to repair and deepen their partnerships. So, thank you again, Moshe, for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Desi. And if it's a good time, I would like also to introduce you to the people that are new to this group and new to this forum. And so, Desi is a midlife reinvention coach specializing in dating and relationship for people over 50. Certified by the Life Coach School, the Institute for Coaching Mastery and Positive Intelligence, Desi works at the level of behavior and identity, not just insight. So her clients can break old beliefs and patterns and build the meaningful relationships they desire. Her approach is shaped by both deep expertise and lived experiences. After a 17 years marriage, a divorce, and 14 years raising three children as a single mother, she brings a grounded, honest perspective to modern dating, both online and offline. Before coaching, Desi spent 30 years as a global marketing executive at Fortune 500 companies and high growth startups, and she is a graduate of Harvard Business School and integrates principles of authentic leadership, emotional intelligence, and personal responsibility into her coaching. Desi is the founder of the Love Reboot Method, a framework that helps people over 50 reimagine what loves look like in this chapter of their life and attract a deeply aligned partner.
God, that was a mouthful. Thank you so much. Moshe, for the intro. So, yeah, thank you guys. We are going to get started. It is just 5 minutes after the hour. So, again, let's stay on mute for now and hold our questions until the end. And then, when we do open up for questions and discussion, I would ask that you use the hand raise feature in the at the bottom of the controls on your Zoom. You will see a hand raise. So, let's use that. And then we're going to take the questions one by one. Okay, I will kick off. I'm going to share the first part, which is what are the patterns that people are bringing to dating? Like, what are the identities that they're dating from? And then Moshe will cover a clear, practical framework for how to date differently and more efficiently. So this is both about identity and strategy. And I would like to reveal to you what our blueprint is. So let's jump right into it. This is the dating blueprint that we both of us are working from. So, what's interesting here is that a lot of people who are newly coming into being single and wanting to meet someone, or even if you've been dating a long time, a lot of people go directly into the step down here, which is scouting, which is how do I meet someone, right? Their question is, I just haven't met anyone yet. How do I start meeting people? And I want to point out that when you work with us as coaches, there is about 80% of the work that precedes that step, which is really more about knowing yourself, knowing your identity, and who do you want to be as you approach getting into a new relationship with someone else. And so all that work preceding this step um, involves things like taking care of your nervous system because we all know that dating can be stressful and it's not a question of if, it's a question of when is the stress going to come? How are you going to manage it? How are you going to manage your mind, your thoughts about what's happening, whether it's in the dating world, whether it's with someone that you're talking to, or whether it's thoughts about yourself? Who are you going to be in this next chapter? So, and there are other steps along the blueprint. So we're not going to dive into each one of these very deeply, but we are going to cover some of them tonight to give you a sense of how they apply. Okay, let's keep going. At this stage of life, we know that we're not dating from a blank slate, meaning we have years of lived experience. We've been through a divorce, a long marriage, we've had long careers. Some of us are parents. We've accumulated years of experience, past relationships, ups and downs, right, in these relationships, past hurts and disappointments. And so we've developed ways of coping, of protecting ourselves. And these protection mechanisms obviously play out as we continue to date in this second half of life. And they influence how we date, how we make decisions, what partners we choose, how we react to things, especially if things are not going the way that we're anticipating them going. So that's why it's important that we actually understand what our patterns are, what our conditioning is, what our triggers are, so that we can respond to these situations from a much more informed place and not be reactive and not get discouraged and not feel like things are not going to happen for us, essentially. I want to hear just briefly right now in the chat, if you guys can use the chat for me, and tell me what are some of the adjectives that come up for you when you think about your dating experiences so far. If you can just type a word in the chat that describes how that experience has been for you. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of uh, not so happy people right now. So scary, non-existent, disappointing, confusing, frustrating, jaded, scammers, exhausting and overwhelming, disingenuous, unfortunate. Yeah, lots of disappointing, frustration, and confusion. I get it. I get it. Yes. Yes. I mean, this is so on point, and you guys are not alone. As you can see, so many of you are going through very similar experiences. And this is, one of the things I wanted to cover off tonight is we all come from different pasts, right? And our pasts sort of create our current identity, our current belief systems, etc. So I'm going to present um, what I am calling the five archetypes that most commonly I see are in the dating context. Um, so let me just go, sorry, over here. Yeah, so I'm going to start with the first one that I see, which is the independent achiever. And if you guys see yourselves in these, feel free to identify in the chat if you can kind of relate to any of these that I'm pointing out as I go along. The independent achiever is successful, capable, self-reliant. Maybe they've built a career, raised a family, even survived divorce, and rebuilt their life. And so they're kind of used to being in control. Their secret problem is that they know how to succeed in everything except for letting someone in or finding their person. And the dating pattern here is that they are looking for strong attraction and intellectual connection, but then at some point they find it difficult to develop that deeper intimacy and to show vulnerability. And so they're kind of leading more from their heads rather than leading from their hearts. So let me know if this one resonates with you. The next one is the burnt out caregiver. So this is someone who spent decades taking care of other people. They were the giver in every relationship, and now they're kind of burnt out and exhausted. And they're secretly longing for someone to finally take care of them. They want to feel chosen, not needed. So their dating pattern tends to be that they overgive early on in the dating process. They ignore red flags. And then eventually they get themselves into situations where they feel unappreciated. So their biggest fear in dating is being used again, or that love actually means sacrifice. So that will be the burnt out caregiver. The next one is the romantic idealist. They still believe in love. They even after heartbreak, they want passion. They want, to feel like they have met their soulmate. So what they secretly long for is a love story. Their dating pattern is typically that they look for that intense chemistry. They have high expectations, and then eventually they might get disappointed because reality sets in and they realize that that is not their person. So the fear that they have is fear of settling and, they kind of have this idea that if it's not magical, it's not real love, So they often fear ending up in a relationship that is practical, too comfortable, etc., and emotionally flat. They kind of need that spark. The fourth one is the guarded survivor. They've been through serious relational pain, maybe even betrayal, infidelity, abandonment. They've been through a lot in relationships, and they may have even rebuilt themselves after heartbreak, but now they are incredibly cautious, very careful about who it is that they're dating. And, their biggest fear is being hurt again. They long to feel safe, safe enough to be loved again. And so their pattern of dating is that they're very slow to trust someone. They are constantly testing their partners and looking for red flags. And they kind of have difficulty opening up emotionally. All right. And the last one I wanted to share is the fresh starter. Again, like this is someone who is new to dating because they've spent most of their life in one long relationship or marriage. And now, for the first time, they're back on the dating scene and they feel like they're learning a foreign language. Um, what they long for is that it's not too late for them to find someone. The dating pattern is that they kind of approach dating from a place of insecurity and hesitancy. They're not really sure how to read signals, and they have the hope that they will find companionship and partnership, but they're not quite sure how to go about it. Okay, so what do you guys think? Can you relate to these? And I will say that for some of you, you might actually see yourself in different buckets. It doesn't mean like we're all made of all of these, right? There's parts of us that feel belonging in all of these. Yeah. And I think some of these can change over time. Like I remember when I first started dating and I was new to being single after 17 years of being married. I was the fresh starter. I really didn't know what I was doing. And, so I kind of had to like educate myself and learn what dating was all about. And then at some point, right before the current relationship that I'm in, I was very focused on being the romantic idealist. I thought like this idea of being in love. I was in a relationship with someone who was very safe and secure for a long time, and I really kind of wanted the opposite of that, which was that, I guess, spark. And then I went all the way to the other end of chasing the spark. And again, it didn't lead to anything lasting until I kind of figured out what is it that I was doing wrong. So yeah, so it's very common to actually jump from one of these to another as you are navigating this. Okay, let's keep going. So like I said, these archetypes all have their pros and their cons. And we want to talk about, core identity patterns that sabotage attraction in relationships because to some degree, no matter where you fall in whichever bucket, we do have, certain patterns that we rely upon. So maybe these are patterns that have served us in the past that are currently hindering progress in what we're trying to do. And these are, some of the most common patterns that I'm seeing. The scarcity identity, that there's just not enough good ones out there. And so you kind of settle for whoever is in front of you. The rejection protective identity. I need to avoid getting hurt at all cost. So you kind of stay in this level, surface level connection. You're not, vulnerable enough to really share who you are with someone. Validation seeking, wanting to date people just for the pure purpose of being validated that you're still attractive, that, you can still be interesting to someone. The control identity, if I manage this right, I won't get hurt. If I only do the right things and take the right steps and say the right things on the date or text in the right way, then I won't get hurt. The fantasy projection, which is, this could be something, or this could be the one, or I see so much potential in this person, right? So you're falling for the potential of someone as opposed to actually, really seeing who they are in the real world. And some of these other identities. So I just want to point out that there's just so many of these patterns that we just completely unconsciously play out as we go about our dating journey. Just gonna scroll through the comments just to see what's going on in the chat. Okay. So, the point of all this is to say that your dating results are a mirror. They mirror your identity, they mirror your emotional patterns. And so, if you have a scarcity mindset, if you fear rejection, if you have attachment wounds or self-doubt, you will unconsciously sabotage your chances because all of this gets conveyed through your thoughts, through your feelings, and through your actions. And this is why, when we talk about embarking on this dating journey, we begin with upgrading your identity. We work on things like self-image because self-image determines what kind of partner you're attracting, the quality of that partner. Emotional regulation plays a huge role in determining how you navigate dating and ultimately your relationship success. And then attraction is influenced by your energy and your presence, which again is wrapped up in your self-image. Yeah. So, I'm a trained coach in the modality called positive intelligence, which talks about the mental saboteurs that play a big part in how we think and react to situations in the world. And you can kind of map every dating pattern kind of lives in one of these buckets of these saboteurs. So if you can think about the controller in you, trying to overmanage a situation, overmanaging timing and the pacing of dating, etc. So that will be your controller. The pleaser, overgiving, right? The hypervigilant, scanning for red flags, scanning for danger everywhere. The hyperrational is the one that's overthinking everything, analyzing it from every angle. The avoider is either pulling back or just avoiding voicing their needs. Maybe addressing topics that might be controversial and just avoiding having difficult conversations. So again, these are not flaws. These are just protective mechanisms, and they also block connection. So, if you decide to work with me, we're going to be using this framework of the mental saboteurs to understand your patterns and to be able to manage those more effectively. If you guys are interested specifically in this, there is a test that you can take that will give you your top two most dominant saboteurs, and the test is on this link. It does not have to do with me. It's a completely independent site. So if you take the test, you can choose to share the results with me or just keep them for yourself. And there's a description on how these saboteurs are messing with your life. Okay. So, yeah, like I mentioned, so positive intelligence is the modality. And so when you work with me on this, you will be rewiring your mind for healthier relationship patterns through the mental fitness practices that strengthen your self-awareness and they strengthen your emotional resilience. And this is not only going to help you in the dating journey, as you know, it's filled with all kinds of pitfalls, but it will help you as you start to navigate an actual relationship, the early phases of a relationship, um, you know, through all the different stages that you go through before you develop a committed partnership. And this brings me to what I call the secure connector, which is, who you want to become out of the work that we do on identity. So the secure connector is someone who knows their needs, who knows how to set boundaries, who chooses healthy partners, and who knows how to build a lasting relationship. Love is an identity level upgrade. It is not just about knowing where to meet people or having the skills, but it's really about, at the core, it's who you are, how you think, and how you respond to situations. So, if any of this resonated, guys, this is some information of how you can get in touch with me. And if you're interested in working with me, there's two ways that you can do that. I do one-on-one coaching, so that's private coaching in my practice. And if you wish to book a free call with me, we can go through your specific situation, kind of uncover what's really been happening, and then we can decide how to move forward. So that's my private practice. And then I'm also starting a group program beginning on May 4th. It's a 12-week program. And again, if you want to find out more details about this program, I encourage you to book a call with me and I can take you through it and so you can understand and make a decision on whether that's something for you or not. In the meantime, while you're deciding, I do encourage you to join my community on School. This is the link. I will also paste it in the chat so you can just click on it. And that is a free community that I manage in addition to meetups. So you can find me there. I will answer your questions. I pop in and out of the community. I post content, etc. So it's just another way of engaging with me. So I'm going to stop sharing right now so I can transition to giving Moshi the floor. But also before I do that, I'm just going to pop the links in here so you guys can have access to that. So Moshe, I'm just gonna pass it over to you now, and in the meantime, I'll put the links in here.
Sounds good. Desi, thank you so much for this insightful presentation. It was so interesting to learn uh, so much about dating and relationships through the lens of identity. So thank you so much for that. And as you said, I will talk a bit more on strategy. So I'm going to share my screen, and with everybody's permission, I'm going to take myself off video while I'm sharing the screen, and so you can concentrate in the presentation. Desi, can you see my screen?
Again, yes, yeah,
All
perfect.
right. So thank you again for everyone for being here today. And let me start by saying that we are taught how to succeed in school and build a career, but almost never how to choose a life partner. And yet, the person you choose will impact your happiness, emotional health, and daily life more than almost any other decision you make. Today is about becoming intentional in that decision, not finding someone perfect, but finding someone compatible, aligned, and emotionally available. So let's begin. I would like to share a quote of Jackson Brown Jr., who said, "Choose your life mate carefully. From this one decision will come 90% of all your happiness and misery." Now, this quote may sound dramatic, but it holds a deep truth. The person you choose to share your life with becomes your partner in everything: your daily routines, your dreams, your challenges, your values. They are your emotional home base. Think about it. When things are going well in your relationship, the world feels more manageable. But when your relationship is filled with conflict, neglect, or emotional distance, it can cast a shadow over everything else. That's why choosing a life partner isn't just a romantic decision, it's one of the most strategic and emotional decisions you'll ever make. It affects your mental health, your physical health, your financial future, and how you show up in the world. The goal here is not to find someone perfect, it's to find someone compatible, respectful, emotionally available, and aligned with your values, because the ripple effect of that choice shape 90% of the joy or stress in your everyday life. So let's start with something important: knowing the difference between your requirements, needs, and wants. Most people skip this part. They date based on attraction, comfort, or pressure. But without real clarity, things often go wrong. So let's break it down. Requirements are deal breakers. These are your non negotiables. If they are not met, the relationship won't work no matter how much you love the person. Example number one is parenting stage compatibility. If you are looking for a partner whose children are already grown and independent, but your partner still has young children who requires daily care and attention, this can create a significant lifestyle mismatch. It doesn't matter how strong the connection is, your day-to-day life's priorities and availability may not be aligned. Being clear about this isn't being rigid, is being honest about the kind of life you want to build. Another example is retirement and lifestyle alignment. If you envision a life with a partner who is already retired or planning to retire soon, but the person you are dating intends to work full time for many more years, this can create a disconnect in lifestyle and future planning. One partner may be ready for travel, relaxation, and a slower pace of life, while the other is still focused on career, commitments, and structured routines. This is not a small difference you can easily adjust over time. Your daily rhythms, availability, and long term vision may not be aligned. That's why retirement timing and lifestyle expectation can be a requirement. It's about sharing a similar vision for how you want to spend this stage of your life together. Being clear about this doesn't limit your options. It helps you find someone truly compatible with your future. Now, needs are important for you to feel happy, safe, and connected, but they are not necessarily deal breakers. You can stay in a relationship when your needs aren't fully met, but it will probably feel draining over time. Example of needs are feeling heard when you talk, feeling appreciated for what you do, feeling like your partner has your back. If your needs aren't met for too long, you may feel like you are always giving more than you are getting. You might
Right.
feel lonely, insecure, or start walking on eggshells. The problem is, many people don't know what their needs are, or they feel bad for having them. But here's the truth: your needs matter. And in a strong relationship, both people try to understand and support each other's needs. Now, wants are the nice to have. Wants are the little extras that makes relationship more fun or enjoyable, but they are not essential for the relationship to work long term. Example, you both love hiking or you like the same kind of music. These things are great, but not critical or deal breakers. So why this matters? When you don't know your own requirements and needs, you are more likely to settle for people who aren't a match, stay too long in relationships that drain you, and repeat patterns that leaves you hurt. Getting clear on your requirements, needs, and wants helps you avoid those traps. One more sentiment that I would like to share on why it is so important to get clear on your requirements, needs, and wants. Because when you don't have this clarity, it's easy to fall into a passive mindset, what I call living as the chosen. That means waiting to be picked or staying in relationship just because someone chose you and not because they are truly meet your deeper emotional and relational needs. But when you take the time to get crystal clear on what really matters to you, what's non negotiable, you begin to shift. You move from being the chosen to being the chooser. That shift is powerful. It's the difference between hoping someone likes you or asking yourself, do I actually want this? Does this works for me? Is this aligned with the life and love I'm trying to create? And that's the mindset I want you to hold as we walk through the rest of the presentation, since we are now going to focus on the framework that breaks the dating journey into four external distinct stages: scouting, sorting, screening, and testing. This is a practical tool to help you approach dating with clarity, intention, and efficiency. Let's begin with scouting. These steps answer the question, where should I look for a partner? If you are serious about finding a long term, meaningful relationship, where you spend your time matters. Too often, we end up in environments that are misaligned with what we truly want. Spending a lot of time on hookup apps, going to bars or clubs where most people are just looking for a drink, dance, or have a casual fling, or continuing to engage with people who are emotionally unavailable or afraid of commitment. All of this can leave you feeling drained, confused, or discouraged over time. It's not that there is anything wrong with these spaces, they are simply don't support your goal. You want to be in an environment that reflect your values and attract others who are also looking for a real connection. For example, community gathering and spiritual or cultural events, learning spaces like workshops, retreats, group classes, dating apps that focus on long-term compatibility, dating apps that has a lot of filters to them, and introductions through friends and family who understand what you are looking for. Ask yourself, are the people here likely to share my vision and lifestyle? Is this space encouraging genuine connection or just casual fun? Being self aware in this stage means choosing your environments with intention so you meet people who are already headed in your direction. Now, sorting happens in the first few minutes of meeting someone, whether that's during a virtual chat, a phone call, or a quick in person conversation. This is your chance to make a quick decision. Is this someone worth getting to know further? If your goal is to find your soulmate, then meeting as many people as possible is essential. And in order to do that without burning out, you need a short and efficient sorting process. The purpose here isn't to figure out if someone is the one. It's simply to it's simply to assess whether they meet your basic criteria for continuing the conversation. Sorting should be a 20-minute coffee date or a short 5 to 10 minutes phone call. And the beauty of this approach is that it allows you to engage with many people quickly without overthinking and emotional investment. It helps you save your energy for the people who actually show early signs of alignment. The most important thing at this stage is to be crystal clear on your top 2 to 3 relationship requirement and to come prepared with specific questions that help you assess them right away. This ensures that your time is spent wisely and that you are not swayed by chemistry alone. The key here is to be direct and intentional. You can ask a simple question like, I'm looking for a serious long term relationship. What about you? These questions alone can save you hours, days, or even weeks with someone who isn't on the same page. Now, screening is the stage where you go one level deeper, not into emotional attachment, but into clarity. The goal here is to determine whether someone meets your other core relationship requirements before investing more time and emotional energy. This step is not about bonding or building connection, it's about gathering the information you need quickly and intentionally. A 2 or 3 1 hour light in person dates are usually enough to get clear sense. At this stage, you are trying to see if you and your other person want the same things in life, like similar values and long term goals. You're also checking if your lifestyle match, things like where you want to live and how ambitious you are about work. It's important to notice how they handle emotions and communication. Are they emotionally available? And to watch out for any signs that clearly go against what's important for you. Now, testing begins when someone meets your basic criteria and there's a mutual interest. This is the phase where you start spending more intentional time together through real life interactions that reveal how someone actually shows up. It's about observing how someone navigates real life, how they respond to stress or disappointment, how they treat others, how they how consistent they are over time, and whether their actions align with what they say they want. These live experiences offer a more accurate picture than any first impression. Testing is the period before exclusivity. It can last a few months, and during these times, you are asking yourself a crucial question. Is this someone I want to build a long term life with? This is the stage to gather meaningful insight before committing. Imagine what your life would look like with this person 5 or 10 years down the line. Do you feel at peace with that vision? Excited? Grounded? Some questions to consider. How do they handle conflict? Are they emotionally available and responsive? Do they follow through on what they say? Does their lifestyle support the kind of relationship you envision? It's important to stay grounded and patient. Many people commit too quickly out of fear of losing momentum, But testing is not about momentum, it's about clarity. And if something essential doesn't feel right, honor that. Self awareness here means staying true to your value, trusting what you observe, and using this time to make thoughtful decisions before exclusivity. So let's bring this home. Choosing a life partner is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. And today was about learning how to approach the decision with clarity and intention. Know your requirements, honor your needs, enjoy your wants. Shifts from being the chosen to being the chooser, and use the four stages scouting, sorting, screening, and testing to protect your time, your energy, and your heart. Finding love isn't about luck, it's about alignment and conscious choices. In addition, if something in today's presentation resonates with you, I want to let you know that I offer one-on-one coaching and group programs designed for singles who are serious about creating meaningful, lasting relationship. Most of my clients describe the experience as a wake-up call, a shift that transformed the way they date. They become more intentional, more proactive, and more confident in identifying and pursuing the relationship that truly align with who they are and what they needed. The first consultation meeting is completely free and lasts an hour, plenty of time for us to explore whether this kind of support might be a good fit. And for more information, you can feel free to reach out uh, through my website, where you'll be able to learn more about my services. I will stop sharing the screen. Boy.
Thank you, Moshe.
Oh,
Thank you for all of that information. That was a lot, a lot of detail.
my
And
pleasure.
I love the idea of using like the specific terms you use with scouting, sorting, screening, and testing, which sounds very scientific. And I know that, this is like we're emotional beings, right? And so some of these like logical steps are not going to be intuitive for a lot of people. But it is a framework to think about whether how effectively are you taking some of these steps. Especially, I find it that knowing your requirements, like knowing who you're actually looking for, because I think what happens, especially, I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience here, being on the dating apps, especially can be very distracting, because you meet all kinds of people. And sometimes, even though you kind of know what you really want ultimately, if you're not meeting aligned people, but you are meeting some interesting people. Maybe they're not the right stage of life. Maybe they don't really want what you want, but they're kind of interested in you. And you're like, well, I'll just fill the time with so and so, right? Until I meet my person. And I think we can easily get distracted with those types of connections and basically waste time on people that are just not the people for us. But they do fill, they fill a need. They fill like a gap that we're currently experiencing. So I completely get it. And I will say that it just requires so much like of your own personal experience. I think what we're both trying to say here with these, but both aspects of our presentations, both the inner work and the strategic steps to take, is that we want to make it a little bit more efficient for you to get to meeting that right person so that you don't fall into the traps of going into a relationship for the wrong reasons and then just staying into that in that for too long and really wasting your precious time when you could be meeting other people in the meantime. Um, the other question I know that comes up a ton is obviously I feel like a lot of people sort of know a lot of the stuff that we've covered on here. They know it intuitively. And their question is, like I said, like they want to go directly into that scouting um, stage, which is basically how do I find people to meet? And there is no magic answer to that. There is. all the places in the world that you can imagine, people are meeting each other every day, everywhere. There is really no one place. I would say, it's funny because I actually just shared this research that was done about how people are meeting their partners. And I shared it on my community page, how it's evolved over the years, where how people were meeting in the 1930s and then in the 70s and then in the 2000s and versus how they're meeting each other now. And while some of the ways they're meeting is staying more or less consistent, so through friends, through work, through family, through kind of their social network, the biggest difference is the impact of online dating. And that in today's world, people, over 50% of people are meeting each other through online dating versus zero, right, before online became a thing. So it's had a huge impact not only on where we meet people, but also on the dating culture. And the fact that it seems like sometimes it's just like you're in this catalog of people and there's an endless supply, but then nobody's really, responding, and it's become such a transactional thing. So really managing that process, having a strategy for how you can incorporate online dating, because it does ultimately give you so many more options to meet people that you don't know versus limiting it to just in-person dating, right? So it's navigating both dating worlds, the online and the offline, strategically, so that they are in your favor as opposed to working against you.
Thank you.
Moshi, what do you think? Should we wrap it up? It's been
What time is it?
it's a
Oh,
It's been a pleasure. It's been
yeah.
an
Yeah.
absolute pleasure to know everybody and to present alongside with you, Desi. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great. Great for you to contribute tonight. And thank you all for coming again today. Hopefully, you had at least some kernels of insight from our session tonight that
Oh
you could
yeah,
take with
absolutely.
you.
thank you.
Yeah, and I'd love to know if there is anything. If you can type in the chat, is there anything that we haven't covered that you wish we covered tonight? Is there any topic or any aspect that we missed? You can think of it, or even type it in the discussion on the meetup. Yes, there is going to be a recording. So I'm planning on following up. I'll be sending an email through Meetup with a link to the recording and also with the link to Moshi's contact info, my contact info, if you want to continue to reach out to us individually. And yes, you will have access to the recording. I just have to host it somewhere so you guys can access it from there. But thank you all for coming tonight. And it was really a pleasure talking with you all and with having Moshi on here. I look forward to these sessions so much. I love doing them. So, again, I appreciate you all coming on and staying this late. It's wonderful to see you. And yeah, I look forward to our next session. Thanks again,
Thank you,
Moshi.
Desi. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Thank
Moshe.
you.
everyone.
Okay,
Thank you
bye.
all. Thank
Bye-bye.
you all. Bye
Okay,
bye.
bye.